Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another studio update. This time I'm going to be talking about my Beastmen army. I'm not really doing anything actively with them right now, so I don't really have an update in terms of new models painted, but I thought I would go through the army and show some pictures of what I have, some painting I've done, and maybe some of my thoughts on playing them. So to start off with, Beastmen is the only army, the only Order of Chaos army that I have. The only bad guy army. I started off playing High Elves and then Bretonnian. I've dabbled with dwarfs, and now I'm dabbling with Empire. But Beastmen are when I when I just want to let loose. I love the feel of this army. It's kind of a in-your-face smash mouth. Not necessarily doesn't require as much finesse as some of the other armies I play, and there are definitely times that I'm in the mood for it. I had a lot of fun playing Beastmen, and I will continue playing them in the future. I did well with them. I think it was 2012 Buckeye Battles with large GT in Ohio. I took second place, and so really can't complain about them. I feel that they're somewhat limited in terms of the competitive builds you can make, and I don't love that. But if you don't feel the need to win every game, you can make some fun lists, and it's a good, fun army to play with. So to start off with are the what I always use to fill out my core, and that are the gore. Um, these guys, I actually really like the way the models look. I love how they play. I think they're relatively inexpensive. I love you can take a leadership test and re-roll to hit, and I love that they're only strength 3 because if they were strength 4, I think they would be overpowered and might as well play dark elves. So you like that? So I like their strength 3, but you can give them a beast banner, you can buff them with magic, and they turn from being pretty good to being awesome real fast. I would say that 2/3 of these models that you see, I painted from priming up through being almost done in 1 week. I painted one unit of it before then, and then I was trying to get ready for a tournament, so I painted 60 models in 1 week. And if you see models that look like they're done, but the basing doesn't look completely done, it's just looks like sand, there's no flowers or anything on it, those definitely fall into the group. I got 90% done, and I almost quit the hobby. And I took another army to that tournament. It was it was awful, and I've never had the heart to go back and finish them. I think I have taken some of those models and finished them and did the basing, but there's still a lot that are just not quite there. Um, I'm happy with the way these gore turned out. I'm not thrilled with it. I think I just found the skin was much tougher to look the way I wanted it to look than I thought it would be. If you look at the back, I have models. Just it was never worth it to me to even go past the priming. And if you look at the upper left, those skin-colored ones, I tried to use a primer that was flesh-colored, and it was kind of a fail. It just went on real thick. So these gore are one of the reasons why I love the Beastman army. They're the big enough bases that shooting doesn't hurt them too bad usually. Toughness 4, primal fury. I always field them with extra hand weapons. Um, yeah, I just really like. Big fan. Next to my Bestigors, and it's funny if you look at it. I only have 18 Bestigors that I've actually painted, and if you watch my battle reports, you've probably seen me field a horde of these guys, and it looks like they're all painted. But the Beastmen have some neat little tricks you can do so you can flesh out these armies without actually having the models, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Uh, how these guys play, I love them. They're strength 4, which is nice. With great weapons means they're strength 6. Um, they can really put the hurt on people, and especially strength 6, and they will often be able to re-roll to hit. And they're one of the very, very few units in my army that can take a magic banner. As a matter of fact, I think they're the only unit in my army that can take a magic banner, because Gors can't, best Ungors can't. I don't think Minotaurs can. And so, I think other armies take that for granted, but in Beastmen, this is it. So if you want a magic banner, it's either on a battle standard bearer or it's with these guys. I I feel a little bit cheesy when I take them in a horde because they're just they're just real tough to deal with. But the problem, the hard thing about playing with these guys is, they always strike last. And if you take them in a mid-sized to small unit, once you take some wounds, you're going to lose a lot of your guys before they get to hit. And it's just real difficult. You can see there's a lot of models I have that I haven't even gone past priming. And if you look, you can see how the primer's been chipped a lot on those brown models. because they've just been sitting around in a box for so long. The reason for that is I really don't like these models. I love the new models the Games Workshop came out for them, but these old school models, yeah, they just don't do a lot for me. I don't really like it, and I don't like that they're metal. The way I transport my troops, the metal models don't do very well. So you can see my movement tray is kind of beat up. And the one way that you'll see in my color scheme here is a lot of any kind of cloth on these guys. I wanted it to be like this was pillaged, if you will, from other armies. And so if you know my Beastmen army, the main color scheme for all the peasants and for my Knight of the Realm command group, or champion anyway, in their banner, is this banner. It's blue with that yellow dragon on it. So I thought it'd be clever moving from Brett's to Beastmen to have the Bestigor unit be using that banner as if they tore it off some barding or something like that. And you'll notice if you look at the little pieces of cloth hanging off of them, you'll see there's red and yellow, and they're really my Bretonnian colors that I put on there as if these guys would beat my Bretonnians up. Next are my Ungors, and yeah, you can see the love that I have for Ungors. I don't hate on them, but they just, I would like to field a large unit of them, to have a unit that gave me ranks, but it's just not worth modeling, going through and gluing all those things at the top of this picture. I'll get to it one day. Right now, it's not a priority. I got pretty much most of my army in two different bulk purchases, one from a friend in Charlotte, one from a friend in Dayton. And so if you look at the right, those ones Ungor on the big bases, that's the way they used to come. I got that during my first purchase from the guy in Charlotte. And then all those Ungor in the middle I got from the guy in Dayton. And the one on the left is one of the very few units I bought. And then, yeah, obviously I didn't, after buying them, I didn't really do a whole lot with them. I've used them as raiders. I'm not a fan. I really don't like the Beastman ambush rules. And I just haven't learned how to use raiders effectively. So they've just kind of stopped right there. Next are the Minotaurs. Minotaurs are one of the reasons I play Beastmen. I love them. I love the look of these models. I know some people don't like them because they're a little bit too muscly. I don't care. And I like the story behind Minotaurs. Yeah, I'm just a real fan. I like them because they can be absolutely brutal in combat, and yet they have, some a really strong Achilles heel, or not a strong one, a really weak Achilles heel. And that is that they always have to overrun. They only go D6, and it's very easy to set up flank charges on them. And I like that. I don't want a unit that just can beat everything and has no weakness. And these guys definitely have a weakness, but I just love the way they look. As with most of my army, I painted a number of them and never finished them. So this front rank is finished, the second rank is mostly finished, and the third rank is only base painted or so. But I was kind of having fun with this, putting Pegasus and Hydra heads on there and trying to get some blood. Making them so they're not all the same flesh color, so there's a variety. There's, different shades of flesh from white all the way up to dark brown. So, yeah, these Minotaurs, I like them. I'm a fan. But the reason people take a minibus a lot of times is because it's really the same problem that Bestigors have. They have three wounds each. They have only light armor and only toughness 4. And so, you know what? They die. And so if you take a unit of 6, you're likely, by the time you get to combat, be down to 3. And then you really start dying. So, these ones in the back, I really do want to finish them. I just haven't got to it. Then we go to my Harpies, and I grew to absolutely love Harpies. And I think it's because, one, they're just, because they can fly, they're the perfect redirectors. And 55 points for each of these units is little enough that I don't mind sacrificing it. And so especially if I'm playing Minotaurs, and especially if I have a lot of points tied up in a Doom Bowl with a Minotaur unit, I can't afford to have them flank charge. And so I'll keep these Harpies behind that unit, so whenever I finally get into combat, I can fly these guys over their head and redirect any unit that threatens a counter charge on me. So I just really like it. I know that Razor Gors can perform that same role, but I found that my Razor Gors just tended to die more often. And of course, they had great movement, but they can't fly, so you have to be a little more careful about them. These guys I can put behind my lines, and again, just fly over the top. Now these are obviously Ungors have been converted. I got them. These used to be on the big base, and so I took them off the big base. They were models of spears. I just left the spears on there. And then I got some Tyranid gargoyle wings to finish the conversion. And the ones that are flying, those are actually paper clips. And this one you can see the primer on the paper clip has been rubbed off. And there's the back. That's usually what you'll see during a game. And they really only rank up one way. That's why you see Roman numerals on the back of them, just to show me how they rank up. Big fan of Harpies. And these are really my unit fillers. In a Beastman army, it makes sense to me that you can have regular beasts in there. And these are great. This allows me, if I want to take a bigger unit of Bestigors, I just throw a bunch of these in there. You mix them up in the unit, and it kind of looks cool without making it seem obnoxious that you're using unit fillers. This one on the right, that's kind of I think it was a Hydra tail with some kind of 40k Tyranid head. And then I put a Saurus down there like he's trampling over him. It kind of looks like he's doing something else to him. Yeah, it wasn't intentional when I did that. So, yeah, I really like these, the versatility of them. So these are the Dragon Ogres. Yeah, I took a bunch of pictures. None of them, all of them turned out blurry. So I'm just going to keep one picture in here. I like the Dragon Ogre model. Of course, there are no Dragon Ogres in the Beastman book, so I proxy these for the Razor Gors, because I really, really don't like the Razor Gore models. They're on the wrong base size, and so it causes some problems. I really just don't use them very much. Now, Senegors are kind of a love-hate thing for me. I actually kind of like how they look. I don't like that they're metal, and I just really don't think they're worth the points. They're too fragile. They're toughness 4. They've got a 3-up armor save, and they're kind of pricey. And so if you take a unit of 5, you just die really easily. Because of their special rule they have, you roll at the beginning of the game, and they might be stubborn. They might have one better leadership or whatever it is. I mean, they have some special rules. It's okay. Now, if you look at the top right, there's a subscriber on YouTube, and I search my messages and I can't find his name, but he contacted me once and said, "Hey, I've got some leftover Beastman bits that I'm very happy to send you." And so he sent me these 3 converted. They look like Marauder horsemen with Gore bodies attached to them. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and they're not only do they look great, they're plastic. So I'm very grateful for that. I find stuff like that extremely thoughtful. And I kind of feel bad that I haven't taken the effort to prime them and paint them. It's just I never use Senegors. So these old metal models, yeah, I like the way they look. Sometimes the older models, look dated. These I think still look okay. Yeah, then there's the Gorgon. I think I've showed pictures of this one before. I took a bunch of pictures, and again, a lot of them turned out blurry. Go figure. This I think is a great model. Really fun one to paint. Wouldn't want to do it every day, but real fun to paint. Looks fantastic on the tabletop. And the way it plays is okay. Of all the rare choices the Beastmen have, this is the one that is almost worth his points. Of course, if we're in a Dark Elf book, then he would have regen and a breath weapon. But being Beastman, he is really, really vulnerable. There's no armor save whatsoever. So if anything has poison, he's done. If anything is high enough strength that his toughness doesn't protect him, he's done. And he has that special rule where he can swallow whole, so he gets killing blow on a 4-up and can regain D3 wounds. But I've yet to have that really make a difference for me. The cool thing is that he can, get frenzied, multiple frenzies like Minotaurs, because he's really just a Minotaur monster. And here are my Chariots. So a lot of times I use these to fill out core. You can see the way I've modeled them. Instead of having a tusk score, I use the old school Minotaurs for these. Because one, again, I just really like Minotaurs, and two, these old school Minotaurs are so much smaller than the new ones that I don't feel right putting them in a unit with the new ones. So I just, put them on the Chariot, put a Gor on there, put a Bestigor on there, and there you go. And it's almost like this is where you have to serve your time if you're a runt or until you're big enough to play with the big boys. Now, my plan for the future of my Beastman army is I want to field an all Minotaur army. So to do it, you can't really do that because there's no core that's Minotaurs. But because I use Minotaurs on these Chariots, my plan is to have all my core filled out with these Minotaur pulled Chariots. Use the Gorgon, fill out all the special points with Minotaurs and all my characters as Doom Bulls and Gore Bulls. So there's a player in the Dayton area that gave me three. I think these were Tomb King's Chariots that got left in a car and they were kind of warped, and so he gave them to me, which again that was really cool. I had a lot of fun throwing some Beastmen bits on there, and haven't really got around to painting them yet. The problem I'm having though is I only have 5 Chariots total, and I'm going to need I think 2 or 3 more to be able to fill out my core. But when you see me playing Beastmen a lot in the future, you'll probably see that build. It's just one I think will be fun, and I've always wanted to do. And lastly are my Beastmen characters. I didn't realize how many different models I had for characters until I put this together. This was one that came in the original purchase of Beastmen stuff. I like it. I don't love it. It's okay. When I use a Beast Lord, I tend to use this model. My only problem with him is if he's not on he's got magnets on him, but if he's not on a metal base, he just falls forward. So it's hard to get pictures of the details in these guys because you actually have to get under them, and whatever. So this is an old, I guess, corn gore, probably some kind of the old Bestigor models that I put a Minotaur banner, a Gorgon horns on the top, and then that skeleton was from the Gorgon model as well. And I just really, really like how it turned out. I think it looks great. And if you look behind it, the piece of metal, that's actually a special edition battle standard bearer that Loki de Trixta gave me. And because mine is custom made, I tend to use mine, so I haven't got around to painting that one. But it's a pretty cool model as well. Of course, my Doom Bull, if you ever watch my reports, you know how much I love this. He's just awesome. He's undercosted, one of the very few things in our book that's undercosted, and you can trick him out to be an absolute beast. He has been the source of me laughing during battle reports more than any other thing. He's just great. This is one I did not paint. I bought it like this. I don't know. If I'm going to use him as my battle standard bearer in my all Minotaur list, or if I'm going to put a chariot on the back of him and proxy this for Razor Gore chariots. I just haven't decided yet. I think the way he's painted is almost good enough, and I'll probably just dirty him up a little bit. Some of the whites are just a little too clean. But with a little bit of dirtying up, that's pretty much, it matches my theme. I'll probably just stick with it. So this is I think it's Malekith, the Dark Omen model that comes on a bigger base. I took him off that, put him on a regular size base, so I use him as my level 4. Beastman magic can be really tough. These guys, he can take Shadow, he can take Death, take Lore of Beasts, or the Lore of the Wild, which I don't like. But and then some of the arcane items, he can be just really, really cool. I usually don't trick him out too much because usually I'm using the points for my Doom Bull. But that's him. I've got 2 models I use for my usually level 2 Lore of Beasts, but if you want to use a Herdstone and take Lore of Shadow and spam Miasma, that is certainly a very viable option. I actually probably need a 3rd one. I might convert another one of my characters, because if you're going to go that route, the more the better. And then you can see, obviously, there's the ones in back that I don't use a whole lot. So that's it for my Beastmen. They're kind of they've moved to a 2nd-tier army for me. I mean, Empire is my current army that I'm building up and painting, and Bretonnian tends to stick in there as my main army that I pull out from time to time. But Beastmen still have a fond place in my heart. And anyway, I'll get back to them one of these days too. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it.